Demand to military. Figures on the political left and the media are now calling for the removal of all Confederate monuments in response to the violence and deaths in Charlottesville, Virginia. But the demand is not limited to statues. Representative Yvette Clarke, DNY, has now announced she is introducing a bill that would force the Department of Defense to rename military bases and properties currently named after Confederate generals and soldiers. Clarke asserts her bill would reduce violence and racial strife by removing symbols of white supremacy that attract rioters. For Clarke, individuals who wish to keep Confederate monuments in place are the ones perpetuating violence. In a statement to the press, Clarke said, "The time has come for the Army to remove from Fort Hamilton and other military installations the disgraced names of men who waged war against the United States to preserve the evil institution of slavery." She went on to call Confederate monuments a pretext for violence. As recent events in Charlottesville have made perfectly clear, these monuments are nothing more than symbols of white supremacy and a pretext for the violent imposition of an evil ideology that should never have persisted into the 21st century, Clarke opined. Clarke and 3 other New York Democrats previously petitioned the U.S. Army to change the names of 2 streets on a base in the state of New York. The Army denied the request to rename General Lee Avenue and General Jackson Drive, which run through Fort Hamilton and are not accessible to the public. Major General Malcolm Frost, a spokesman for the Army, explained why Clarke's petition was rejected. Army policy is to use the names of famous soldiers or generals. Every Army installation is named for a soldier who holds a place in our military history. Frost also said that the use of historical names is not an endorsement of those individuals' personal ideologies. Accordingly, these historic names represent individuals, not causes or ideologies. It should be noted that the naming occurred in the spirit of reconciliation, not division, he said. Clarke's bill would bypass the Army and other military branches, effectively coercing the armed forces to her ideological viewpoint, and ending a tradition that has been in place for over a century. Given the events in Charlottesville and the hostile feelings it has created, it is possible that Clarke's proposed law would have support from both sides of the aisle in principle depleted Congress. Among the most notable critics of President Trump in the wake of the Charlottesville incident have been members of his own party. As reported by CNN, Senator John McCain, a constant critic of the president, attacked Trump for making a moral equivalency between the white supremacists and Antifa, whom McCain described as Americans standing up to defy hate and bigotry. Antifa has been designated a domestic terror group by the New Jersey Office of Homeland Security. Other prominent Republicans to speak out against Trump include Marco Rubio, RFL, Jeff Flake, RS, and Lindsey Graham, RSC. Graham accused Trump of taking a step backward in race relations. Despite this criticism, the Trump base of voters has remained supportive of the president's remarks. But with such bipartisan condemnation of the president among sitting politicians, it is unclear what fate Confederate monuments face. It's over after the media lied about Trump. Lou Dobbs went on TV and leaked their worst nightmare. President Trump's trip to France over the past couple days has been a huge success, so the media is trying to distract everyone. They continued to spread conspiracy theories and lies about Trump and Russia. This week it was Don Jr.'s meeting with a Russian lawyer, next week it will be something else. Well, Lou Dobbs has had enough. He just went on live TV and exposed the media's worst nightmare. Dobbs exposed how the deep state was secretly using the liberal media to try and overthrow Trump. He explained how they are accelerating leaks from within the top levels of government in order to saturate the media with Trump scandals and try to break the will of the American people. Then they'll move in and try and have him removed. Watch the amazing clip below, then share on Facebook so we can make it go viral. Here's an excerpt. This is an effort by the deep state to roll over a duly elected president and to break the will of the American people. This is about a full-on assault by the left, the Democratic Party, to carry out a coup d'état against President Trump, aided by the left-wing media. John McCain just got the worst news of his life today, Nobody saw this coming. Doctors have now warned that Senator John McCain's eye surgery is more serious than we thought. Mitch McConnell delayed the healthcare vote after news came out that McCain had a surgery to remove a blood clot above his eye. Now, we finally understand why McCain was asking such bizarre questions in the video below. McCain has been blaming his episodes on increasingly suspect things. He blamed the following video on the fact that he stayed up late to watch baseball, says the Global News. According to the New York Times, McCain sent a statement out on Saturday that said that he would be recovering in Arizona for much longer than previously expected. McCain's office said that the 2-inch blood clot was removed from above his left eye during a minimally invasive craniotomy with an eyebrow incision at the Mayo Clinic Hospital in Phoenix after doctors spotted it during a routine annual physical. McCain's communication director, Julie Turallo, says there is no other information available. A craniotomy is an opening in the skull. Usually, a blood clot in this area would be a very concerning issue, said Dr. Nirupin Baxi, an assistant professor of neurosurgery at the Albert Einstein College of Medicine in New York City. Share this if you hope that McCain recovers. He might be a fake Republican, but he is a real human. Prayers for his recovery. Thanks for reading. Doctors now support womb transplants for transgenders, should taxpayers have to pay? The best example of the left's insanity is their fetishization of the transgender issue. If there's anything that proves the insidious and anti-science agenda, it's how liberals are forcing us to deny biological reality or face ostracism from society. Because they have no real, valid argument for transgenderism, they resort to labeling critics bigots and haters, as a means to silence them. Throughout the media and schools, transgender propaganda has replaced gay marriage with shocking speed as the top social issue of the day. And the issue's only going to become more controversial in years to come, as scientists are tailoring procedures to cater to these deluded individuals. And guess who will have to pay for these procedures? As reported at Breitbart, leading doctors are backing NHS-funded, the UK's socialist, state-run healthcare system, womb transplants for biological males who identify as women, a procedure which experts say will be possible within 10 years. Right now, doctors believe with some advancements and funding, the procedure will be viable, as pioneering operations at the University of Gothenburg on wombless women have seen at least 5 children born as a result of a procedure similar to the one doctors are trying to perfect for use on men. In light of a Swedish team's success, left-wing activists in the UK have demanded the NHS pay for womb transplants for male-born transgender people, which doctors in the country apparently back. Must be nice seeing one's tax dollars go to such a procedure, when it could go to getting them psychological help instead. Consultant gynecologist Dr. Ariana D'Angelo, of the NHS's Wales Fertility Institute, said it was right from an ethical point of view. Right. It's now ethical to not only encourage, but also to pay for one to carry out their delusions to the extreme. It would be like helping anorexic people to come up with better ways to starve themselves. Ariana said, "We already have fertility preservation for transgender people, to give them the possibility to have their own genetic child. So I don't see much of a difference between that and actually delivering their own child." Dr. Francoise Sheffield, a clinical lecturer in obstetrics and gynecology at University College London, who has treated infertile NHS patients for 30 years, added her support and pointed to the UK's equality laws. "If we are saying we should have equality and we have legislation, defending the rights of transgender people, I do not see why not," she said. "This issue has nothing to do with equality. A person has no inherent right to claim they're being treated unequally simply because they're one sex but want to be another." H.T. Serves him right. Oregon Democrat who bullied Christian bakery out of business loses election. You may remember the story of Sweet Cakes by Melissa, a Christian bakery in Oregon which was forced out of business when they declined to bake a cake for a gay wedding. The Democrat who forced them into the spotlight lost his election bid last week. Oregon official who bullied Christian bakery owners loses election. An Oregon bureaucrat who waged political jihad against the owners of a Christian bakery was given the heave-ho by voters. Labor Commissioner Brad Avakian was defeated by Republican Dennis Richardson in his bid to be Secretary of State. It's the first time a Republican has been elected to a statewide office in Oregon since 2002. So consider this: Avakian was too liberal for what is arguably one of the most liberal states in the country. Avakian, a passionate advocate for the LGBTQ crowd, was thrust into the national spotlight when he declared war on a Christian bakery in 2013. Aaron and Melissa Klein, the owners of Sweet Cakes by Melissa, declined to make a wedding cake for a lesbian couple's ceremony. Hopefully, these folks can get their lives back now. They never did anything to hurt anyone. They just wanted to remain true to their faith. What's wrong with that?